Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs and today I have this stunning leaf card to show you. So let's jump right in. I am going to make a slimline card. So here you see I'm cutting down my cardstock. I like to cut 4 inches off of a full sheet of cardstock and that gives me my cardstock base for the slimline card, which is going to be scored at 3.5. So it starts out at 7 by 8.5 inches and then I scored at the 3.5 mark to make a 3.5 by 8.5 inch slimline card. That is my preferred slimline card. I don't believe that there's any right or wrong way to make a slimline card. It's just supposed to fit in a number 10 business envelope. However, this card wouldn't, simply because I left the leaves hanging off the edges. But that they could have been trimmed off. I just chose to leave them like that. So I do have some distress watercolor here. This is the pieces that are already cut to an A2 size, and I'm just trimming them in half because I wanted to do a different color for each of the leaves. And instead of spraying on one big sheet and trying to cut them down or that kind of thing, I actually just trimmed them in half to start with, and then took the biggest leaf out of the die set and made sure that it would fit on a half a sheet, and then trimmed them all down. We're going to bring in a lot of spray colors. Now, you don't need to bring in this many. This was just, I have them. I'm slowly collecting all of the sprays. And this was just me playing with them. I kind of had a general idea of what colors I really wanted my leaves to be. But other than that, I'm just playing with a bunch of colors. And I did bring in the sprayer so that I could put water on each background as well. And in this second one, I will tell you all the colors I'm using. But in this second one, you're going to see here, right after I get it sprayed, and I think it's beautiful. And I hold it up to the camera to show you how stunning the colors look. And then I'm going to drop it. And then I'm going to discover that one of my cats has been sleeping in my Splat Box and I did not notice. As you're going to see here, I'm going to mist it with some water, get the colors to move a little bit, show it to you, and then drop it face down. And then I'm going to show you all the cat hair stuck in it. So to fix that, I took a piece of paper towel. Here you see I'm trying to wipe it off with my fingers. It's not going to work. I took a piece of paper towel, I wiped all that color off, and then I'm going to respray it and try again. And at this point, I've also cleaned out my box as well, because I'm going to drop this one too. Here, give it a second. As soon as I finish spraying this one, I'm going to drop it. But luckily, I've already cleaned out the box at this point, so there's no more cat hair in it, but a lot of my makes end up with some cat hair in them. So the colors I used are the Distress Oxide sprays in Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed, Carved Pumpkin, Candied Apple, Crackling Campfire, Cracked Pistachio, Pine Needles, and Twisted Citron. I also used the Distress Mica stains that just came out, the brand new ones, which was Flickering Candle and Jack-o'-lantern. And I also have a Distress stain spray, sorry guys, in Ripe Persimmons. And that's just, honestly you guys, I own like 4 of the spray stain colors. And then I own maybe 30 Oxide sprays at this point. Slowly I am collecting them all because I am falling head over heels in love with sprays for backgrounds. And this is a prime example. You could absolutely use your inks and blend this. There's no question. It just wouldn't be quite as quick as this is. So you don't need to use this much color. This was a little overkill, but honestly, if you have them, use them. I mean, that's the whole part, right? I mean, and I had so much fun with these. And then I'm going to go back in and just add a little bit more color to the ones that I think that lost a little bit of their color. Because when you add water to oxides, of course, they oxidize. So you get a little bit of a chalky finish, which is stunning. I love the oxides. So I mean, don't let that deter you. However, if you don't like the chalky color, make sure to use the stains, which I'm slowly going to start collecting now because I am falling head over heels in love with these sprays. So I'm just going back in, adding a second layer of color to my backgrounds. And honestly, there's no rhyme or reason really. I had a general idea of what I wanted and that's kind of it. And then I brought in the Deckled trimmer here, and I also brought in a piece of cream cardstock by Simon Says Stamp. And I've just kind of trimmed that down on all of the edges to create my background base for the card. It's going to frame it in, and we're going to do a little bit to it here in a minute. So I've also adhered down all of the 5 leaves, and these are the brand new Tim Holtz Leaf Fragment dies. He just announced these last month, I believe, and I'm cutting them out with my Gemini and the Magic Mat here. This is just my preferred sandwich. This is what I've been using, and I'm pretty in love with it, so that's just kind of where I've gone with that. But I'm going to trim them all out, and then I'm going to pop all the extra inside pieces out, and you're going to get to see these in all of their glory. The one with the smallest leaf, we are going to add a little more color to it. It dulled down a little more than I wanted it to. So I am going to add a little more color. I believe it's the one I'm taking out right now, right here. See, I'm going to add a little more blue to it because I ended up with a lot more of the richer colors, the reds and the yellows in my leaves than I did the bluey greens. So I am going to just blue, like right here, we're going to add a little bit of green back onto this one, and you can keep doing this. I mean, it's all trimmed out now. There's nothing to stop you from adding more color if that's what you want. That's the whole fun of a technique like this. I mean, I sprayed my backgrounds, but I wanted more green here, so I'm going to bring in more green. And I did dry it before this point. And then we're going to add some gold because I thought with the fragments out of these leaves that they would be stunning embossed with a little bit of gold. So I have my little finger dauber here, and I'm just kind of trying to place a little bit of embossing ink around the fragments. This would probably be easier, or at least more not as messily done as I'm going to do it here, but if you had like the embossing pen and you could just go around the little fragments, it would be a lot of finer. I just bring in a paintbrush and clean up the areas that got more ink on them than I actually wanted. But you could do it either way. I mean, I'm a firm believer of using what you have, and that's what I have a tendency towards. So here I just grab a little flat paintbrush, and I'm just going to brush away some of the embossing powder, just to make it so that it's not quite as thick in the center. And honestly, it's quite uneven, and that was fully intentional. I want to embrace the fragmented beauty that is these leaves. They're so stunning, and in these vibrant colors, I want to kind of frame in the fragments of the leaves. So that's what I'm doing with the gold embossing powder here. And I did also kind of go around the outside very unevenly, again, just to add some gold detail around the leaf on the outside as well. And I'm going to do this for all 5 leaves. I'm not going to show it to you for all 5, but I'm going to do it for all 5. And I am going to hold it by my reverse tweezers just so I don't burn the heck out of my fingers. But be aware, of course, the reverse tweezers are metal, so metal conducts heat. So just be careful doing this, that you don't then touch the metal at all. And there is the first leaf. And now you're going to see them all done with the power of editing here. But I just think that added such a stunning touch to the leaves. And this background is not exciting enough for me. So I went in and just dipped it into the ink pad on the edges, again, unevenly, to just create a very whimsical look. And then I'm going to dump on my gold embossing powder. And this is just the gold from Ranger. Any embossing powder would work. You could do this in silver too if you wanted. I just thought gold would look really pretty with the colors of inks that I chose. But I mean, you could go with anything. Like, you could have done these as a very much more moody. You could go with browns. There's so many ways you could do this card if these brighter colors aren't your thing. I think that you could easily make this whatever you want it to be. And then I am going to heat set this. You can't really see it here because the line is pretty thin, but you will definitely see it when I hold up the card at the end and be able to check out all that gold embossing and its beauty. But I just thought that this added a little bit of something extra to the background. And I am also going to bring in, I think, about 5 of the Oxide, or of the colors that we used to spray here, and I believe 1 of the Mica sprays as well, to just add a little something to the background. Something still fairly subtle because it is a background. I don't want it to steal the show at all, but just to kind of break up the this is cream cardstock, so the very creamy big panel of plain there. I wanted to break it up a bit so that it wasn't quite so stark. So I just brought in a couple of the colors, and I'm not honestly sure what colors I even brought in here, honestly. I just splashed a few on that were on the leaves and added that to the background. And then I did put some 3M foam tape on the back. I'm also going to bring in some liquid glue because I can't line things up with foam tape because I have a heck of a time with that. So I put a little liquid glue on each of the pieces of foam tape as well. This just gives me a few seconds of movement in case I can't line it up well, and then it's not here down straight. I can get it straight. This gives me a chance to try to get it straight. This is just kind of a trick, and you could have used fun foam here or something instead of foam tape. This was just sitting there, so I wanted to use it. And then I also am going to thin 3D foam mount my leaves. I am doing this for a ton of dimension because I'm not going to mail this card as it is anyway, because I'm going to opt not to trim off the pieces of leaf that are hanging off of the edge. You could, and then it would fit in a regular slimline card. or an envelope, sorry, I just chose not to because I couldn't bring myself to trim them. I fell in love with how these leaves looked, and it's not often that I have an idea for a card and it turns out even better than my idea. So I couldn't bring myself to trim this down. I'm going to adhere the first one here, and you can see I didn't actually push it down, so I can lift it up and shift it around a little bit before I adhere it down, and then I'm going to shift it a little bit more. I'm just trying to line it up and get it straight, and then I adhere all of the other ones down as well with the same 3D foam squares. And then I am crazy in love with pearls right now. These are the Studio Katia Vintage Shimmer Pearls. I am so in love with them. I'm not sure that they even should be on this card, but I'm so in love with these pearls that I had to add them because they are just so stunning, and I want to put them on all of the things right now. So this is the card in all of its beauty. I did not add a sentiment. I couldn't bring myself to cover anything up, and I wasn't totally sure what I wanted the sentiment to be, so I'll just write on the inside when I decide to give this to somebody. But yeah, so this is the card for this week. I would love to know what you guys think. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the card, or what you're thinking about this beautiful die set. And yeah, that's everything for Have this week. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I will see you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.